Welcome back to the Awesome Agents podcast. So Maya, Gemini 3.1 Pro just came out and it's crushing benchmarks left and right. But the story is more complicated than that.
Way more complicated. On paper, this model is the best thing Google has ever shipped. Arc AGI 2 at 77%, up from 31. LiveCodeBench LO of 2,887. It leads in 13 out of 16 benchmark.
Okay, so those numbers are massive. The Arc AGI 2 jump alone going from 31 to 77, that's more than doubling.
Right, and the LiveCodeBench number is really the one that stands out to me. An LO gap of 448 points over GPT 5.2. That's like the difference between a club chess player and a grandmaster.
So if I am a developer hearing this, I'm thinking, great, I should switch to Gemini. Problem solved.
And that's exactly where the story breaks down. Because developers who actually try to use it in production are running into serious reliability problems.
How bad are we talking?
Less than 10% API success rates during peak hours, 503 errors lasting for hours. And here is the kicker. Google's status page shows everything is green the whole time.
Oh no. So you are getting errors and there's no official acknowledgement that anything is wrong.
Exactly. And it gets weirder. The model is leaking raw thought blocks in its output, like internal reasoning tokens that should never be visible to the user.
Wait, what does that actually look like in practice?
So imagine you're using it in Cursor or VS Code. You ask it to fix a bug, and instead of giving you the fix, it uses up all its thinking tokens, narrating things like, I am now completely immersed in the problem. Then it does something but doesn't tell you what it did.
That is not useful at all.
A former Google engineer described exactly that experience on Hacker News. And this person said they actually root for the team. They tried a workflow where they planned in Gemini and executed in Claude, but eventually they just stayed in Claude because, quote, the experience is just so much better.
That is a rough quote for Google. So why is there this gap between the benchmarks and the actual experience?
I think there are two things going on. First, pure infrastructure. The model is still labeled preview with no general availability date, and they are deprecating Gemini 3 Pro on March 9, which forces everyone onto this preview whether it's ready or not.
So they're pushing people onto a model that cannot handle the load yet.
The demand spike is real. Logan Kilpatrick from Google said the infrastructure team is battling right now to keep up. But there's a second issue that's more fundamental.
Which is?
The coding experience. One commenter put it really well. Claude is trained on the process of coding, not just the code. Google seems oriented toward a more general solution, so it ends up being a jack of all trades but master of none in that specific use case.
That's interesting because it's number one on SWE-bench verified at 80.6%. That is literally a benchmark about solving real GitHub issues.
Right, and that's the paradox. It can solve the problems, but the developer experience around how it communicates, how it structures its output, whether it actually stays up when you need it, that is where it falls apart.
So what about the price? $2 per million input tokens is really competitive.
It is the best price to performance ratio out there, on paper. But cheap tokens don't matter if 90% of your requests fail during business hours.
Fair point. Where does this go from here? Is there hope for Google to fix this?
There are some positive signals. They just leaked a Gemini 3.1 flashlight preview, so the lineup is expanding. And retiring Gemini 3 Pro should free up compute capacity for the models that remain.
So the capacity crunch might ease up?
Maybe. But the deeper issue about developer experience and coding-specific tuning, that isn't a quick fix. Anthropic and OpenAI have invested years in developer relations and fine-tuning for coding workflows.
So bottom line for developers listening right now.
The raw capability is truly there. If you need it for math or complex reasoning tasks, it's worth testing. But for production coding pipelines or agentic workflows, test it very thoroughly before you commit. Don't trust the benchmark chart alone.
Benchmark charts don't capture the experience of watching a model narrate its own immersion in your problem instead of solving it. That is a great line from the article. Thanks for breaking this down, Maya. Until next time, folks.
See you next episode.